Let's go. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Representative Eric Ager from House District 114 in Buncombe County, including parts of Asheville. Today, my colleagues and I have gathered to discuss the very real challenge of rising food and grocery prices. North Carolina families are working hard, but too many are still being squeezed at the grocery store. Wages have just not kept up with the cost of basic necessities. And food is one of the clearest and most concerning places where families feel that pressure. People see it every week. The same basket of groceries costs goes up and the same paycheck stretches less. Our families are forced to make harder and harder choices. The Affordable Food Act is about meeting that reality with practical, targeted action. First, this bill strengthens the purchasing power of SNAP benefits for healthy food. We are directing DHHS to pursue a federal waiver so North Carolina can help families buy more fresh fruits, vegetables, and other healthy foods. This isn't complicated. If we want children to eat better, if we want families to stay healthier, and if we want public dollars to go further, we should make healthy food more affordable at the checkout line. And that includes targeted investments and incentives towards our local food economies, towards farmers markets, community-supported agriculture, and farm stands. Second, this bill helps protect the basic infrastructure of food assistance in our state. As we see federal changes are going to reduce SNAP administrative support, counties and DSS offices are just not going to be able to simply absorb that loss without consequences. Those offices are where families go when they need help. If we let the administrative backbone weaken, the people who suffer are our North Carolina families who rely on that assistance. Third, we invest in food access where the market has failed. Across North Carolina, there are communities where residents live miles from a full-service grocery store, where transportation is limited, where convenience stores become the default food system. That's a broken system. Families should have access to real food, fresh food, and not just whatever you can find on a convenience store shelf. This bill supports mobile markets, food banks, nonprofit partners, local governments, grocery stores, co-ops, and other food retailers willing to serve in underserved areas. Tackling food deserts is especially important in rural communities, but it's not a rural-only problem. They exist in urban and suburban North Carolina too. In my county, Buncombe, which is considered an urban county, 1 in 7 residents don't have access to healthy food. That's over 23,000 residents. USDA data reflects that there are 11 food deserts in my county, and 82% of those are in the city of Asheville. The problem we aim to fix is this: families cannot afford healthy food if healthy food is not physically available near them. The grant program in this bill would help us bring food to the communities that need it the most. Fourth, this bill takes on a new and growing consumer protection concern: dynamic pricing in grocery stores. Electronic shelf labels may be efficient, but families should not have to wonder whether the price of milk, eggs, bread, baby formula, or household essentials will change while they are walking through the store. Grocery shopping is not a stock exchange. Essential goods should not be subject to real-time pricing games that make it harder for consumers to plan, compare, and budget. Nor should a store be able to set a price on the food you buy every week based just on who you are. This bill lays out a clear foundation that says food, beverages, and household essentials are items for which North Carolina customers deserve stability and basic fairness. The Affordable Food Act is not just one program. It's a comprehensive food affordability strategy. It helps families stretch the dollar a bit further. It keeps our food safety net functioning. It improves access in underserved communities. It protects consumers from predatory pricing practices. And it recognizes that food affordability is a real issue lived daily by our fellow citizens. North Carolina cannot call itself a pro-family state while ignoring the cost of feeding those families. I'm proud to stand with my colleagues today in support of it, and I'll turn it over to Representative Jeffers.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Representative Ray Jeffers from House District 2, representing Person County in Northern Durham. I'm proud to support the Affordable Food Act because it recognizes something we should never forget. Food security is impossible without farmers. When you can order food online and have it delivered to your doorstep, we have never been more removed from the land and the realities of the hard work that puts food on the table. That begins with farms. Our North Carolina farmers feed this state. But too often, the farmers who grow our food are dealing with challenging and unstable markets for their crops, rising input costs, development pressure, and uncertainty about whether the next generation will be able to continue the trade of farming at all. This bill responds in two major ways. First, it creates a state procurement and farmer stabilization program that means North Carolina can purchase food grown or processed right here in our state and distribute it through public and nonprofit food assistance programs. This is good for families who need food, but it also is good for farmers who need reliable buyers for their crops to stay in business and continue to put food on our tables. Secondly, this bill invests in farmland preservation. Once farmland is gone, it's usually gone for good. A strip mall rarely becomes a farm again once paved over. Preserving working farms is not just about rural nostalgia, it is about our food supply, our rural economies, our family farmers, and our state's long-term resilience. This bill prioritizes small and mid-sized farmers, beginning farmers, historically underserved farmers, rural communities, and economically distressed areas. We should not be creating or maintaining a food system that only works for large corporations. The system has to work for local producers, family farms, and agricultural communities that more often than not get left behind by the market. And that is a very practical investment. Buy North Carolina food, support North Carolina farmers, preserve North Carolina farmland, and feed North Carolina families. It is a policy that keeps families secure by keeping our food supply chain secure and keeping our state's farmers secure in their land and in the market. That is the kind of policy we should be all able to support. It's my honor to introduce Representative Pierce.
Good morning. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing me this opportunity to share with you this morning. Good morning. I'm State Representative Garland Pierce from House District 48, which is Hope and Scotland County. My district also covers a significant portion of Fort Bragg. I'm here today because no one who served this country should struggle to feed families. North Carolina is one of the most important military states in America. We are home to roughly 1,000 active duty service members, along with veterans and military families who have sacrificed for this nation. But service does not always protect families from hardship. Too many military families and veterans face food insecurities, high living costs, and gaps in support. The Affordable Food Act creates a target military veteran family assistance program within the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service to help meet that need. Excuse me just 1 minute. This program will serve veterans, active duty service members, North Carolina National Guard members, military dependents, household members who are experiencing or at risk of food insecurity. The department may use funds to buy, store, transport, coordinate, and distribute food, including, as many of my colleagues said, North Carolina grows food. The department may also work through food banks, veteran organizations, military family support groups, local government, and other partners. Understanding this is not charity. This is an obligation that this state has to the military families who have served and defended this country. We ask their families to endure deployment, moves, uncertainties, and sacrifice. We ask veterans to carry burdens most we would never fully understand. The least we can do is to make sure these same families are not left behind and wondering how they will be able to feed their families. In this country, in this state, this is unthinkable. Our caucus support giving military service members, veterans, and families every tool to be secure, healthy, prosperous. Support veterans is not a partisan issue, nor should it be. It is simply to be the first step towards basic dignity. So therefore, I could share with my colleagues today, I'm a veteran myself. I live in an area where I've heard of families having to go to food banks and also having to use food stamps. So I just think all that our veterans do, we owe it to them to make sure that their families are healthy and have the food that they need each and every day. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Esther from the News and Observer.
Great.
Just wanted to hear sort of what does the fiscal impact look like for this bill?
Yeah, I mean, the fiscal impact is fairly large. These things aren't cheap, but I think that, we're spending lots of money down here. Well, We're not spending money at the moment because we don't have a budget. But we do spend lots of money down here in Raleigh. And to us, this is where we ought to focus those resources. We ought to focus it on the people and the farmers and the veterans who are ones really needing help in this day and age.
How do you sort of anticipate discussions going with this bill, and how are you sort of going to try to work across the aisle to make this bill a reality?
Yeah, I mean, we're always willing to work across the aisle and to talk to our colleagues on the other side. I mean, I don't expect that they'll take this bill up and just run with it, but certainly we'll have lots of discussions about all the pieces of this bill and try to work it into legislation going forward.
Definitely.
But I also think there's pieces of this bill that will resonate with the mass population of North Carolina. And so hopefully they come in and get behind us to work with our colleagues across the aisle to kind of push some of these policies, because these are policies that are on everybody's mind day to day.
Definitely. And sort of in this larger conversation of affordability, particularly for farmers, talking about gas, fuel prices, how does this bill sort of fit into all that as well?
Yeah, I mean, this bill, what it does really is it tries to begin to change the food system, right? So that we have, the food that we grow here in North Carolina is feeding North Carolinians. And there are lots and lots of small and medium-sized farmers, but I'll let Representative Jeffers
Well,
speak to
market
that
access is always on a farmer's mind, right? Actually, so with these programs, particularly ones that we're talking about between staff and veterans, this is just another avenue to secure those markets. And so I think farmers would be very supportive of this.
Absolutely. I think that's all I got.
Thank you all very much for coming.